Hello, in this video I am going to show you the Clearfix utility. So I will provide a link to the official Bootstrap website which shows you the Clearfix. It's actually a very simple, it's essentially just a class. And there's a description right here. Quickly and easily clear floaty content within a container by adding a Clearfix utility. That explanation doesn't really do much, at least not for me. So it's just better if I show you. So I'll be using like a similar example to what's on the website and just explaining it. So what we're going to do is create a div. There will be some classes here, but for now I'll leave them out. We're going to put a couple of buttons. So type equals button. We're going to have a class equals btn, btn-primary. You can do this with any type of component that you want, with any number of components as well. I'm going to put a float left just to illustrate this utility. Left button, and I'll do something very similar for the right button. Float dash right, and this is going to be right button. Let's see what we get. I'll put a different thing here. Danger. So if I reload, we get these two buttons. Very simple stuff. And if I was to add a Clearfix, a class of Clearfix and reload, nothing changes. But watch what happens if I add a background. So bg-info, you can add any sort of background styling that you want. This is what happens. You might be thinking, okay, isn't that what is meant to happen? But let me show you if I get rid of the Clearfix. You might be thinking, where's the background gone? It's still there. It's only applied to the buttons, but the buttons have their overridden style. But watch what happens if I get rid of the actual style class. So now they are just buttons, but with the let me skip. Sorry. Yeah, we want that. Yeah. So let me show you Clearfix now. Make sure it's still working. Now Clearfix. So there we go. We have this entire style that goes over the entirety of it. But if we have these back here again, btn-primary and btn-danger, so each button has their own style, as you can see, but that background is going all the way. But if I don't have the Clearfix, then it doesn't extend between the two elements, the floating area. So that's what the Clearfix is. Very simple. If you have any questions, feel free to pop me a message. And as usual, I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Hello, in this video I am going to show you colored links. So this is really simple. I will provide a link to the official Bootstrap API guide from here, but like I said, it is extremely simple. So let me just first of all implement a very basic link so you can actually see what that looks like, and then we'll implement the colored link class. So a href, technically it could be on any sort of component element that has sort of link like functionality. So if I do link, I'm not going to have the link class yet, so I'm going to just put epic link. If I reload, we get this. That's just a default link that's built in. But if you look, remember Bootstrap has different sort of color systems. You've got the primary, secondary, success, danger, warning, info, light, and dark. And these are consistent. That type of color is throughout the entire Bootstrap system. So if we was to put a class of link dash success, we get that. You might be thinking, how is that any different to just some other basic sort of styling. The thing is, it also has styling for the focus and the hover states, like so. So that is it. So yeah, the difference, if you don't know, between a hover and a focus state: hover is like that, and a focus state is, if I click tab, we're on it, and now it's activated the focus state. So it's like that, even though I'm technically not hovering over it. So that's the difference between a hover and a focus. So that is it. Very simple stuff. If you have any questions, feel free to pop me a message. All the relevant links to contacting me and getting information about Bootstrap will be in the description. And as usual, I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Hello, in this video I am going to show you how to embed an element like a video and make it responsive within the Bootstrap system. Really simple, really easy. First of all, you want to, obviously you would do this in some sort of class with a column attached to it. I've got 12 columns, which is the maximum amount. You could have 6, 3, whatever. And first of all, you need to put a div and then a class, and this is going to be embed dash responsive, and then another one, embed dash responsive, and then the ratio dash 16:9. So that obviously is a very common ratio, and I will provide a link to the Bootstrap website so you can check it out. But on here in the helpers embed section, it shows the different ratios available and essentially what is happening. You could create your own if you wanted to. So next, what we need to do is get an embed. So if you're on YouTube, for example, you can go to share, you can go to embed, and we can copy that, and then go down to here, paste it. Okay, so we don't need a width and height because we're going to be making it responsive and not fixed. You can have a frame border if you want it. We're going to remove that. You can also have this attribute that allows you to do stuff like accelerometer, autoplay, all that stuff. But again, I'm going to be removing that as well. That is totally up to you. And now we are also going to have a title. And for this, I'm just going to put epic video. Feel free to put whatever you want. And obviously I've left allow full screen so the user can go full screen, but feel free to remove that attribute if you don't want it. Next, we need a class, and this is embed dash responsive dash item. If I reload now, we get the video, and if I start resizing it, as you can see, it resizes nicely. If I was to, let's say, put this as col6, then if I put another div here and put this as a class col-6, and in here if I just put hello, this is obviously what we would get, and as you can see, we can resize it. So it works great within the Bootstrap grid system. You can do loads of stuff like having tiles of different videos. Maybe you're creating sort of a YouTube live website. You can do that. So that is it. If you have any questions, feel free to pop me a message, and as usual, I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Hello, in this video I am going to show you the position helper. So there's more information on the Bootstrap website, and I will provide a link to that in the description. So position helper essentially allows you to stick stuff to the top or bottom like so. So I've got this header, I've got a bunch of videos embedded, and you might have whatever scenario that you want. And look, as you can see, when I'm scrolling, everything is scrolling. But let's say if I go to YouTube and I'll scroll, everything but the top navigation bar is scrolling. If we go to Bootstrap, everything, the first bar scrolls, but then there's a second sort of navigation search bar that does not. So that's what we're going to be implementing. So assuming you've got whatever you are want to fix there, all you got to do is put a class of fix-top. So this fixes it to the top like so, and as you can see, when I scroll, this is now fixed. If I do fix-bottom, that fixes it to the bottom. So that's great for a footer. This one is great for a header. One thing I want to note is now that we put fixed to the top, this is basically just floating over it, so all the content is moved up. So part of this, video or whatever it is, whether it's text or whatever, is cut off, basically that bit. So we need to move this down a bit. We need to move this down. You can, provide some CSS via a separate style tag or in a CSS file. I want to keep it simple and just put it here and just put margin dash top, and I'm going to put 75 pixels. This is just a value that I have experimented with and I find looks pretty good, but feel free to experiment. As you can see, there's a gap. Now it's moved it 75 pixels down and that looks pretty nice. The last helper class I'm going to show you, instead of fixed dash top, you can do sticky dash top. That's my phone. Let me put it on silent. I thought I already did. It is on silent now. Okay, you can put sticky dash top. If we reload one, it's it's already got some margin, but that's irrelevant. I'm thinking, what's the difference? Let me show you. If I revert back, and before it, if I put something, let's say like hello world, it could be any content whatsoever, and I reload, that content you can't see. But if I go to inspect, and there it is actually there. This is just covering it, and I'm trying to scroll up, I cannot. If I was to change this to sticky dash top, so now if I scroll down, this is only stuck to the top once any content before it has fully scrolled off. Essentially what this is, so this is a sticky navigation bar, where this is just the regular one. So that's both scenarios covered. So that is it. If you have any questions, feel free to pop me a message, and as usual, I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Hello, in this video I am going to show you the screen reader helpers in Bootstrap 5. So I will provide a link to this API guide page. There's not much more on it really, apart from some mixing stuff that you can check out, than what I'm going to cover. So screen reader helpers are classes that allow you to designate certain content for screen readers for accessibility purposes. To implement them, it's really simple. So let's say if we have a header and we want this header to only be visible for screen readers. Obviously, visibility, I'm not saying necessarily being able to see it, but I'm talking about in terms of being able to, see in one context, but, access it. So if I put class equals sr-only, that's screen reader only, and if I was to put the text for screen readers only, what I'll actually do is get rid of the class first, show you that it appears, now add the class back in, reload, it doesn't appear, and as you can see, I'm trying to click, there's nothing there. If I inspect the web page, go to here, go to body, it is right here. It's just it's only for screen readers. The other class that you can use, and let's say if we was to put this on an anchor tag, it's useful for something like that because you probably focus on it, is, so let me just implement it, ahref hash and class to be sr-only focusable, and I'll explain what this does in a second. I'm going to focus only, and what this does is kind of like the screen reader only, but it's only if you focus on it. So if I reload, it is here. If I click tab, as you can see, it's right there. If I reload, I can't do anything with it. I cannot click it. If I click tab, I have focused on it, and now it is accessible. In this case, it just takes you to this particular part on the web page, which is nothing. So basically like a reload. So that is it for the screen reader helpers. If you have any questions, feel free to pop me a message, and as usual, I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Hello, in this video I am going to show you the stretched link helper. So I have this little card right here. Before I actually cover it, I will provide a link to the stretched link web page, so feel free to go and check that out, because there is a lot more information available there. Okay, so we have this web page with this card thing that I've implemented. It could be any sort of system really, but it really lends itself to this, and I can't click on anywhere apart from here. So because that's the button, if I click on it, it takes me to the Batman Wikipedia page. But if on the button or whatever is clickable, I put the stretched link class, and now I reload, I can click any part of that sort of, don't want to say the word container, because container is its own, class, its own sort of element type in Bootstrap, but it's, this, div essentially. So if you have multiple cards and you want the user to be able to click on them, you'll provide some sort of preview, maybe some brief information, but the bulk of it is when you click on these, instead of making it just clickable via the button, it's really good for mobile, because that way the user doesn't have to just try and press that small button, which can be a bit awkward sometimes, especially for people with larger fingers. So you can just click anywhere. So if I just click there, it takes me to the Wikipedia page, which is what is linked right here. But again, it could be any page or anywhere on your web page or website. So that is it. There's more information on this stretched link, but that's essentially the nuts and bolts of the stretched link helper. If you have any questions, feel free to pop me a message, and as usual, I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Hello, in this video I am going to show you how to use the text truncation helper class. So truncation or truncating just allows you to cut off text at a certain point. It just shortens something. So we've got this little div right here. I've just put the lorem ipsum text in here, and it is col-3, so it spans 3 columns. If I put col-6, it'll span half of this parent container. There we go. But maybe we only want it on one line, and I need to preview the maximum amount of content that could be put in there, and that could be restricted by something like a class like col-3, by specifically providing our own width in terms of pixels, em, doesn't really matter. To do it, you just put text truncate. Now if I reload, as you can see, it has truncated it. Anything beyond, basically it needs to be able to put the 3 dots and any extra text that it can have before it, that's what you'll have. Anything else basically gets truncated. So that is a great way of reducing the amount of content on a page, just giving like a little preview of what is there. Maybe the user could click on it, maybe they have a card and it takes you to a profile page or an item page or a product page, and that provides more information. Okay, so that's for the most part it. And if I was to put col-6, for example, there's a bit more content there. Just one other thing to note, I will provide a link to the text truncation API page on from Bootstrap, and there's only one thing to note is that it requires the display property to be inline block or block. Div is block anyway, so it's fine, whereas if you put it on a span, it is not any of them, so you would have to put a display property of inline block or block, and you could use the built-in Bootstrap class of d-inline block or d-block, and then obviously they've just put a width there. So that's really it. Apart from that, there's nothing else that you need to know regarding text truncation. If you have any questions, though, feel free to pop me a message, and as usual, I look forward to seeing you in the next video.